SpaceX just dropped a 6-minute Raptor 3 test fire that changes everything. The engine ran through a complete Starship version 3 ascent profile, ice forming on the powerhead while flames roar below, the thrust vector control swaying the massive engine side to side. This isn't just another test. What does this footage really tell us about Raptor 3's readiness for the production line? Meanwhile, Super Heavy Booster 19 gained 29 meters of hull in just 10 days. Starship 39's test tank completed 3 cryovalidation runs, and our helicopter flight over Florida revealed construction progress that seems physically impossible. Let's dive right in. December 3rd. SpaceX posts something unprecedented. 6 minutes and 40 seconds of continuous Raptor 3 firing. Not just any test. This engine ran through the entire ascent profile that a real Starship version 3 will experience during launch. Why would SpaceX release this footage now? The video reveals details engineers have been waiting months to see. Ice crystals form across the powerhead as the active cooling system works over time, creating razor-sharp contrast lines where extreme cold meets combustion heat. The engine itself moves, left, right, compensating through thrust vectoring throughout the entire burn. This isn't a static test stand exercise. SpaceX is validating flight conditions. What makes this different from every Raptor test before? The answer lies in what you don't see. Traditional rocket engines need heat shields, adding weight and complexity. Raptor 3's external cooling eliminates that requirement entirely. The ice forming on the outside proves the concept works under sustained operation, and SpaceX wouldn't post 6 minutes of glory unless they had confidence in the results. While Raptor 3 grabbed headlines, another critical piece moved forward at Starbase. S-39.1, the test tank derived from Ship 39, started its validation sequence. 3 consecutive cryo tests in 3 days. The first was brief, checking fitment and connections. The second, a 6-hour deep freeze that pushed every system to its limits. Version 3 differs so dramatically from version 2 that SpaceX can't skip these steps. New tank architecture, new materials, new thermal management. Every change needs proof before Flight 12. How much testing is enough? Based on what we've seen, SpaceX might have already answered that question. The Lab Padre cameras caught it all. Liquid oxygen and methane flowing, tanks contracting under extreme cold, sensors measuring every millimeter of movement. This test article exists for one purpose: to fail before the real ships do. So far, it's passing with flying colors. November 28th marked the beginning of something extraordinary. SpaceX rolled the first ring segment into Mega Bay 1 for Booster 19 construction, then another, and another. 4 ring segments, each one stacking higher. By December 8th, 16 rings had been integrated. That's 29 meters of booster hull in just 10 days. Let me put that in perspective. Each ring measures 1.8 meters tall. SpaceX is completing almost 3 meters of booster structure per day. The transfer tube, the massive component connecting the liquid oxygen and methane tanks, just arrived at Mega Bay 1. This signals the hull is ready for its next major milestone. When that tube mates to the booster, methane tank stacking begins immediately. Could this booster be ready for cryo testing before New Year's? At this pace, it's not just possible, it's probable. What does this construction speed tell us about version 3's design philosophy? SpaceX clearly engineered this generation for mass production in ways previous versions never achieved. Flight 12 depends on more than just hardware. Without Pad 2 operational, version 3 Starships have nowhere to launch. December 5th and 6th brought the answer SpaceX needed: consecutive deluge water tests. Our photographer Jordan captured the moment. Water erupting from the flame diverter, cascading across concrete that will soon support humanity's largest rocket. The pad looks nearly complete. Tank farms connected, power lines running, the Mechazilla arms waiting to catch their first booster. But nearly isn't ready. What final tests remain before SpaceX declares Pad 2 operational? Our helicopter lifted off from Cape Canaveral after too long on the ground. What we documented over the next 2 hours defies belief. Roberts Road, SpaceX's Florida Starbase, has transformed into a full-scale Starship production facility. The site divides into 3 zones, each revealing different aspects of SpaceX's expansion strategy. Hangar X still serves Falcon operations. 4 fairings sit outside, recovering from recent flights. But directly south, everything changes. Tower segments for the first Florida Mechazilla line the staging area. Chopsticks assemblies. A new ship quick disconnect arm inside the movable tent, identical to what just went up on Pad 2 at Starbase. The Florida Gigabay now stands 6 beams tall, all 4 cranes running double shifts, exactly like their Texas counterparts. The cleared footprint extends far beyond current construction, suggesting this is just Phase 1. More crane segments wait on site, ready to support vertical growth. Richard Gallagher's photography reveals what satellite imagery can't capture: detail. Pad 39A isn't just under construction. It's being completely rebuilt for the Starship era. Sheet piles extend the full length of the flame diverter. Staged material covers every available space. Large pipes snake behind the tower location, preparing for deluge systems that will dump thousands of gallons per second during launch. The LOX farm is expanding. A new foundation takes shape near the tower base, likely an equipment bunker for launch operations. The commodities raceway from the tank farm now reaches toward the pad itself. This represents the most significant construction effort at 39A since Apollo. When complete, this pad will support both Starship launches and potentially Falcon booster landings on newly designated zones behind the main hangar. Space Launch Complex 37 just received FAA approval for something unprecedented: 76 Starship launches and over 150 landings per year from 2 towers. The old Apollo-era blockhouse remains for historical preservation. Everything else? Gone or going fast. ULA's Delta Vehicle Integration Building has vanished. Excavators swarm the site, grading terrain for the first construction phase. Within a year, SLC-37 will mirror 39A's current state. Then Starship flights begin. Add these 2 towers to Starbase's 2 pads and 39A's single pad, SpaceX will operate 5 Starship launch facilities, more than they currently have for Falcon 9. What happens when 5 to 10 Starship flights per year suddenly becomes 50, then 100? The infrastructure being built right now answers that question. The exponential growth curve isn't coming. It's here. SpaceX isn't alone. Stoke Space at Launch Complex 14, John Glenn's historic pad, has preserved the entrance blockhouse while preparing for Nova's inaugural flight. Construction equipment has moved off-site. The pad looks ready. Their target? Early 2026. Relativity Space at SLC-16 continues building toward Terranar's debut. The 18.3-meter water tower stands complete. The horizontal integration facility dominates the landscape. October's update confirmed a 2026 launch target remains on track. Even SpaceX's SLC-40 evolved. The FAA approved 120 Falcon 9 launches per year and 34 first-stage landings. That approval came just 3 months ago. The landing zone already looks finished. New Space Force rules require return-to-launch site landings at the originating pad, driving this rapid construction. The numbers tell a story many missed. Over the past decade, SpaceX fundamentally reshaped global space launch. In 2022, Falcon rockets pushed America ahead of China in total annual launches for the first time in years. But the deeper transformation runs through total mass to orbit. From 1957 until 2021, the United States delivered approximately 15,000 to 16,000 tons to orbit. Last year alone, SpaceX added 1,498 tons. This year, they crossed the 5,000-ton cumulative mark. SpaceX has nearly doubled America's all-time orbital payload delivery in just a few years. Russia's commercial launch market share collapsed from 50% in 2013 to roughly 10% by 2018. In 2024, Russia managed just 17 launches. SpaceX, 134 launches. This year will widen that gap further. Over the past decade, SpaceX launched nearly 75% of all spacecraft globally, with about 33% of all rockets. What happens when Starship enters regular service? November 25th, Goddard Space Flight Center. Engineers mated the inner and outer portions of the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, ending the construction phase that began February 17th, 2016. 10 years of development. Worth the wait? The 300-megapixel wide-field instrument delivers a field of view 100 times larger than Hubble's. Where Hubble peers through a keyhole, Roman opens the door. During its 5-year primary mission, NASA expects discoveries of more than 100,000 exoplanets, hundreds of millions of stars, and billions of galaxies. The coronagraph instrument blocks starlight using complex masks and active mirrors, enabling direct imaging of exoplanets. Not indirect detection through stellar dimming, actual photographs of distant worlds. After final testing, Roman moves to Kennedy Space Center in summer 2026 for launch preparations. The official schedule targets May 2027, but the program runs ahead of timeline. A Falcon Heavy could launch Roman as early as fall 2026. 25 years of continuous human presence in orbit approaches its end. The International Space Station enters its final 5-year operational period. Commander Sergei Ryzhikov just handed over the symbolic key, a replica of the Russian segment hatch handle, to Mike Finke, marking the 74th command change in ISS history. The United States, Japan, Canada, and ESA member nations committed to operations through 2030. Russia pledged support through at least 2028. What happens next requires careful planning. ISS Program Manager Dana Weigel outlined the decommissioning process, 2 to 2.5 years of gradual descent using atmospheric drag and station thrusters. But the final push requires something special. NASA selected SpaceX to develop the U.S. deorbit vehicle. Why not let gravity handle it? Some debris survives re-entry. Controlling the descent path ensures pieces fall into unpopulated ocean areas. The final powered push also increases destructive heating during atmospheric entry. When the curtain falls, the ISS will be missed, a home away from home where scientists from across the globe created a family of equals. Landspace's Zhuke 3 completed its first orbital test with mixed results. The launch? Flawless. Stage separation? Perfect. The landing? The booster crashed hard, but incredibly close to its designated target. That precision matters more than the outcome. Landspace confirmed they collected critical data throughout ascent, re-entry, and the landing attempt. Every sensor reading, every control input, every moment of flight now feeds into design optimization. This company is on a clear path toward becoming the first non-US entity to achieve orbital rocket reusability. The next Zhuke 3 attempt will benefit from everything learned in this flight. 6 years ago, coverage like this seemed like a dream. Today, it's reality unfolding faster than anyone predicted. Raptor 3 firing for 6 continuous minutes proves mass production isn't just possible, it's imminent. Booster 19 gaining 29 meters in 10 days shows version 3 was designed from day one for speed. The construction frenzy across Florida and Texas reveals the scale of what's coming. This isn't just about rockets anymore. When SpaceX operates 5 Starship pads, when Stoke and Relativity join the launch cadence, when America's orbital payload delivery doubles again in the next 2 years, we're witnessing the foundation of an entirely new space economy being built in real time. The Challenger disaster sparked my interest in spaceflight when I was 6 years old. I didn't understand the tragedy then, only the spectacle. But that moment led to everything you see on this channel today. What's your story? What pulled you into this world of rockets, orbits, and the impossible becoming routine? Drop your answer in the comments. This community thrives when we share our journeys together. If this coverage brought you value, hit that like button. It directly impacts how many people YouTube shows this content to. Share this with someone who needs to understand why space matters right now. Subscribe to Space Update 24 hours and turn on notifications. The pace of development means you'll miss critical milestones if you blink. We're building something here together. Your engagement keeps this channel flying. The space revolution isn't coming. It's already here. See you in the next one. See?